Hello friends, another day, another video. Oh my goodness, right, so for this video I want to talk about what I really wanted to talk about yesterday, but I got sidetracked because I really wanted to talk about this whole thing about telling people they should just leave. It was really sitting on me, so I wanted to get that out of the way. Right, so let's talk about this post that I did about Nike. Well, the two posts that I did. So, I did a video and then I also posted some screenshots of some of the anonymous posts that their current and past employees were sharing around some of the experiences that they've had within the business. So, a couple of the conversations that I've had since and the discussions have been pretty much, the best way I can sum it up is by saying damned if you do and damned if you don't. So there are still some businesses who are still like, I don't know what to do about this, I don't know what to do about this. I'll be completely honest, this is my take. They've not told me this. This is just my view of the world, right? They had hoped by the time we got to almost mid-July, that this would have passed. Do you know what I mean? The ship would have passed and we would have gone on to, I don't know what they were thinking we would have gone on to, but they were hoping that we would have gone on to something else. And because that's not happened, they're now going, shit. So we look rubbish as a business because we haven't done anything at the beginning. But when we thought about doing something, we then thought, oh, we've missed the boat, so let's not do anything and then let's just wait and see what happens. And now that people are still talking about this, like it might not be, the noise might not be as much as it was a few weeks ago, but people are still talking about it. And as my post illustrated, employees are now going, well, if you ain't saying shit, we're going to start saying shit. So now those same leaders are going, okay, we've clearly got to do something. So as well as pushing through the discomfort of, what do we say as a business that shows we're meaning? Because, if people think that we're not serious enough, then, they're going to say that's like performative stuff, but we really mean it, but we don't know what we're going to say. And we don't want to, we know if we wait too long, any longer, we're going to get criticised because we took too long and. The other dynamic is they also know that they've got some practices within their business that if the public were to get hold of it would not make them look good. So they have their own equivalent of some of the stories that we're seeing from Nike. That's why I said, don't watch the fact that this is Nike. My point was not about poking holes in Nike and some of their business practices. I wanted to use it as an example to say, if the walls within your business could talk, what would they say? Because every company has skeletons in their closet. So the lesson learnt is, because you think that you've been paying off people with settlement agreements, or you've been like quietly trying to nudge them out of the building by making life difficult for them so they resign. Because let's be honest, how many times have we heard, eventually they'll resign, we don't have to do nothing if we wait long enough. That is a tactic. And now that you're starting to clock and think, actually, that's not enough. So it doesn't matter that you've had one individual sign a confidentiality clause, which means they can't talk about the circumstances around their departure of the business. It doesn't mean that the other employees are also going to stay quiet. And now that the other employees have realised that there are ways in which they can get their voice heard without compromising their position, they're now starting to think, oh, hang on a minute. Like I said in that video, they've got Glassdoor. Listen, Twitter and Instagram and Facebook are available 24/7, and you don't need to make an appointment to go and see them. And also within those businesses, even if the leaders are thinking to themselves, well, do you know what, like, we're ready to listen, there are still gatekeepers, whether it's HR people, whether it's D&I, who, I kid you not, are still shutting down conversations, are still not engaging with any of their employees, not just black employees, they're not engaging with anybody around doing something around this. And if they are, I also kid you not, they are also saying things like, well, let's just try and get a black person. Can you go and get a black person in and let's just see if we can, like, how much is it going to cost? No, actually, can you try and get somebody in for free? See if you can get a black person to come in and just like share their experiences, and then that'll be good, because I've heard that other businesses have done that. Can you just go and do that? But just tell them we ain't got no budget. That is still happening. Oh, still happening. So they're still, and the reason why I'm sharing these examples is because these businesses are still in this space. These leaders are still in this space of thinking, oh, it's all too difficult. It's all too much for me. Like, oh God, I'm worried about making the wrong decision. I'm worried. And I go back to, because they are sitting and prioritizing their comfort over doing the right thing. They are prioritizing the social capital with their peers in the same teams, in the same departments, over doing the right thing. They are prioritising the comfort of the majority, particularly for businesses who have either majority white employees or majority of white people in senior leadership positions. Do you know what I mean? Because in all honesty, they're not overly concerned about the experience of their black employees on the frontline operations, because, well, they need to work. So they're now thinking to themselves, God, and that's when you start to hear things like, oh, we don't want to be policing thought too far. We don't want to take it too far. And my counter challenge is, well, what's your definition of too far? And they go, well, you know what I'm saying, Shreen, you know what I mean, I'm probably getting my words all wrong. And I'm like, no, listen, I've got time. So, like, what do you mean that you're worried about taking it too far? And do you know what their answer is? Well, one of the answers, there's probably a few actually, I'll probably come up with some more, but one of the answers is they don't want to be seen to prioritise one group of employees over another. They're worried about, to be honest, it's laughable really, but they're worried about perceptions of fairness or unfairness. Because all of a sudden they're like, I absolutely agree that we want to do right by our black employees. I absolutely agree that we want to do more to, help them. And it's almost like this whole thing about, we want to give voice to their experiences. It just trips off the tongue anymore. It doesn't have the weight and the impact that it should do, considering the seriousness of it. They're just seeing it as one of the things that they have to do to go through the motions. Clearly this is not everybody, but let me tell you, I'm still talking to a few. Oh my God. Listen. I spoke to one person. I'm not even going to say their title. I'm not going to say the gender. I'm not going to say nothing, because I think I might give away too much in the tone of my voice, who could barely bring themselves to say the word black. Like, we're back in school. Well, I went to an all-white school, so, So they're going through the motions because now they're realising it doesn't look good. And they're also saying to me, oh, it's not that like, oh, Shreen, I don't want you to think that, I don't care about this, because you know what, I've had one sleepless night. Do you know what I mean? So they are still, this whole damned if I do and damned if I don't is all about preserving their comfort. And they're so worried about organ rejection. They're so worried to be rejected by their majority of their workforce that is stopping them from pushing through that discomfort to address some of the systemic issues that lie within their business that are barriers to black people joining and progressing. So we've got to keep calling this out. I have got to keep calling this out before anybody gets complacent, before anybody thinks that the tide is turning. Is there a window of opportunity? Absolutely. But do I go to bed at night thinking that the general consensus is that CEOs and board of directors and leadership teams are getting it? No, I don't. No, I do not. I still think there's an element of let's do the bare minimum just to get people off our back. I still think there's an element of let's try and see what other black people we can pull in for free. Oh my God. Listen, if you looked at my LinkedIn messages, how many people I've had to make come correct? because they're wanting advice, and now they're getting brave. So it's not even like they've stopped, well, some, not all of them, have stopped just asking for like, you know, have you got half an hour or an hour, you know, an hour. So I must give up an hour of my time to help you in your business, in your big old brand. Big brands, people, big brands. I must give an hour of my time. Oh, and now they're giving me lists. Oh, what would you advise in what? Sorry. So this is when I know they're not serious. This is when I know they are not serious. So I would say, now that I've finished, you know, telling you what I think, what I would say to any leader who's listening to me, still listening to me, is you need to move past this damned if you don't, and damned if you do and damned if you don't mentality. Like, I can't tell you, I'm not here to tell you that it's going to be easy. I'm not here to tell you that you're going to be universally accepted. Because I know when some people are coming to me, they're literally wanting me to give them like the silver bullet that's going to make it all better. And I cannot do that for you. But what I can say, and I've been saying this all the time, your inaction, your inability to commit, to vocally commit, to publicly commit, to privately decide to do something is speaking volumes. Speaking volumes. And at some point, listen, black is trending, right? And at some point, because somebody's going to go, oh my God, here's a list of businesses. You know, like how they did when somebody put together a Google Docs a few weeks ago of the list of companies that all came out with a PR statement about Black Lives Matter. And literally, it's a list of the brands, the logos. It's a list of the day that they came out with their PR statement. If they can find a link to the PR statement, there's a column with the link to the PR statement. Just to kind of show which of the big brands are performative support. But at some point, you as a business are going to be asked by a partner, you know, somebody that you're trying to get on your books. And they're going to say to you, like, what did you do when all of this stuff kicked off? What have you done and what are you committing to do and what are you doing? Like, where can we see that somewhere? And if you haven't got anything to say, still in talk, still in conversation, still in discussion is not an answer. So I guess I'm just saying, like, I can't give you a nice, comfortable soundbite for you to then be able to go, oh, well, you know, Shreen said we just need to do X, Y, and Z. No. And I keep saying, for all the time that you're taking to debate and discuss, do you know what I mean? And trying to work out how you can get people in to come and help you on the cheap. Or the alternative is you go and join other forums, groups, whatever else it is, who are going to make you feel better about yourself just because they've labelled it. We're going to talk about BAME, or we're going to talk about a revamped diversity and inclusion, you know, whatever else it is, and that's going to make you feel better. Well, if that's going to make you feel better, go do it. But you have to be able to turn around and look your employees in their face, black or non-black, and say, this is where we stand as a business. This is what we're going to do. This is how I'm holding myself to account, and this is how I'm holding my leadership team to account. And you also have to understand, I keep saying that not everybody is going to be with you on this, and not everybody is going to be wanting to embark on that same journey with you. But guess what? If you're a business that likes to talk about evaluating candidates and hiring great talent according to your values, well, make this one of your values and just assess people accordingly. I don't know why it's such a big deal, and I don't know why it's so complicated when it really isn't. And people are, oh, I don't want to, you know, freedom of speech and I don't want to police people's thoughts. I don't want to. But at the same time, you're ready to reject people because they don't hit whatever this magic brand value that you have. But for something like this, if you've got respect and fairness, you know, all the words that, you know, they like to post on the walls, but ain't nobody going to police anybody's behaviour accordingly. And they've got issues even living up to that standard. And what I say is, well, just make it easy, incorporate it into your values. And then they still go, oh, I'm not sure that's the right thing. Well, then I can't help you. Nobody can help you if you as a business do not want to commit. You can't fudge it. You know, and if you don't commit in a way and understand that, you know what, it might be that all your dirty laundry is aired, but maybe that's what you need to know to understand where you've got to start, then at some point your employees are going to do it for you. Oh my God. Can't make it up. Oh, you know. So, like, I'm trying to be helpful. You know, I try and make sure that I share content, like back pocket. I'm all about the back pocket content that people can just help push the arguments, help influence within their sphere, whether it's within an organisation, within a community, within a group, like whatever. But I also want to be the voice of reason and the voice of challenge, sometimes the voice of support, but fundamentally the voice of challenge. Because we can't afford to be tiptoeing around all of this. Like, we just can't do it anymore. Well, another day. I tell ya. I'll be back tomorrow. And yes, as always, because you know, I always have to give like thanks and gratitude that you're still staying with me. Like, I appreciate it, honestly, I do. So I will see you tomorrow.